Hello, welcome to the channel. Today we're looking at this, which is my latest guitar speaker cabinet. As you can see, it says Marshall across the front there. You can also see through the grill cloth that there is a 12-inch speaker on this side and a 10-inch speaker over here. Marshall never made a guitar cabinet like this, so what's the deal? Well, of course, I built this one. And the Marshall badge actually came off of my old JTM 30, which was a 2x10 30-watt Marshall amplifier that died a long time ago. But I thought this would look cool having the Marshall logo on the front. So let's talk about it. I constructed this entirely of plywood. It's a 1/2-inch light ply that I got from Woodworker's Source, and it's called Premcore. It's a pretty good material. I would say their Baltic birch plywood is higher quality, but this was a little bit cheaper and I was trying to do this on the cheap. So the top, bottom, and the sides and back are all from the same 1/2-inch plywood. I did simple butt joints on the edges here. The last cabinet I built, I spent a lot of time doing finger joints along there, but I was just trying to make it a little bit quicker, so I just did a simple butt joint. There is a back panel here. Covers the entire back of the amplifier, but I did cut a slot here, which is a great place to reach in and grab it and pick it up. And the back of the cabinet inside is lined with a self-adhesive cork board that I just thought it would be nice to have a little seal between this piece of wood and the cabinet itself. And then there's, I think, 8 screws holding it in place. There's the input jack. The front faceplate is just the light plywood with holes cut out, and it's velcroed in. I have a little tab down here you can pull on to remove it and see the speakers mounted inside. Again, this is a 1/2-inch light plywood speaker board that they are mounted to, and it's captured in a channel all the way around on the top, bottom, and sides. It's all glued together. And the grill cloth is from Mojo Tone. It's called Fender Oxblood with gold stripe. It's the same stuff I used on my last build a few years ago. I had a fairly large roll and there was quite a bit left over, and it was enough to do this. The speakers inside, the 12-inch is a Celestion Creamback speaker, 65 watt. And the 10-inch speaker is a Celestion G10 Vintage. It's a 60-watt speaker, I believe. They're both 8 ohms and they are wired in series. Put this back in place. You might also notice that on the faceplate below the 10-inch speaker cutout, there are some extra small holes. Those are just decorative. It's kind of my little signature style. When I started this project, I was undecided as to how I would finish it. The quickest and simplest thing to do would just be to stain the plywood, which is what I ended up doing. I had a couple other considerations of possibly covering it with Tolex or getting some more decorative wood and making like a thick veneer to put over it. I just went with stain, and I used Minwax wood finish. It's a red oak. It was the one I used. And actually, it was a can I had out in the garage probably from more than 10 years ago that there were still some in. Put a little bit of thinner in it, and I used that, and it went on nicely. Then I clear coated it with the Minwax fast drying poly clear satin finish. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the way it looks. To me, it looks a little bit like a dresser or a china cabinet, something like that. Doesn't really have the appearance of a really cool guitar amplifier, but it looks pretty nice. And when I walk into the room and I see it underneath my Boss Katana head here, I look at it and I'm pretty happy with the way it looks. I did record a short segment halfway through the construction process to show you the pieces and what my method was. I'll show that to you right now. I built this 1x12 cabinet about 3 years ago, back in 2020. It has a Celestion Creamback speaker in it. It's a 12-inch and it's the 65-watt model. And I originally built that to pair it with a 40-watt tube head that I had. But since then, I've purchased this Boss Katana Artist Mark II, and it is capable of outputting 100 watts. It does have a 50-watt mode and a 1/2-watt mode, so I've been running it in the 50-watt mode just to keep things safe. But I would like to be able to run the amp in 100-watt mode. And so I'm going to build a new speaker cabinet that will have 2 speakers in it. I'm going to take the 65-watt Creamback out of here. And I'm going to pair it with a Celestion G10 Vintage, which I have in a box right here. Now this is a 60-watt speaker, but it's only 10 inches in diameter. So why am I going to match a 12-inch speaker with a 10-inch speaker? Oh, here's the speaker board, by the way. We'll talk about this in a minute. Well, really, I still want to keep the cabinet as compact as possible. That's one reason I went with a 10-inch speaker. The other reason was price. It is definitely a much less expensive speaker. And I believe on Amazon the price for this G10 Vintage is normally about $109. I've seen it drop to $104 sometimes, but just a few weeks ago it was $82, and so I snatched it up right then. Now you may notice that I don't have everything symmetrical here. The 12-inch speaker is going to be centered in the board, but the 10-inch speaker is raised up. I kept the tops of the speakers in the same line. So why did I do that? Why make it asymmetrical? I suppose just to be different. I think asymmetrical is a good thing. It's just a hunch. I don't have any scientific proof to back it up. So that's the speaker board. I've roughed out the sides and top and bottom of the cabinet here. And this is all light plywood, half-inch light plywood. This cabinet back here was solid wood. It's red Grandis was the wood I used. It does have a plywood board that holds the speaker and so forth, but this is just all plywood. I'm keeping it inexpensive. And I'm using a similar construction technique. That is, I have a channel cut on every piece around the perimeter, and that is to capture the speaker board. So this channel on the bottom will capture the speaker board. Just pops in there. Then we have one side here with the channel. Captures the side of it. The other side here, capturing it. And the top has a channel also. So the speaker board will be completely captured. I'm just going to glue it together. There won't be any nails or screws in this. I want it to be as solid as possible. I said the same thing when I built the last one. It's just a simple design, and I think it works well. Now at this stage, I don't know how I'm going to finish this. The easiest thing would be just to stain the plywood on the outside and be done with it. But I haven't ruled out the possibility of covering it with Tolex. And actually the first idea I had, I have some maple and some walnut. I'm looking that way because it's in the corner over there. I have some maple and walnut boards, and I was considering resawing them down into thinner sheets, not really a veneer, but just thinner boards, doing the outside in a pattern of nicer woods. Thought that would look really nice. So by the time you're watching this, you already know what I've done because I've opened the video with that. But this is where I'm at right now. So in that little segment there, I said that I was just going to glue everything together, that it would have no screws or anything. But the truth is, because I just did the simple butt joints to the sides, top and bottom, I did drill some holes. I think I have 3 in the top and 2 in the bottom. And I countersunk some screws down in there. I filled the holes with a little bit of wood glue and put the screws straight down just to strengthen up those corners. I covered the tops with some wood putty and sanded it down and stained over it. You can see where they're at, but it blends in pretty nicely. The only other thing that I'm not crazy about is the fact that it is plywood. I just have the edge grain showing here so you can see that it's plywood if you walk up and look at it. It would be nice to cover that with some veneer. We'll see if I take the time to do anything else to it, but this is it as it is now, and I'm pretty happy with it. I gotta say that it sounds fantastic. Combining the 12-inch Creamback with the G10 Vintage was a good idea. They complement each other. And it's really hard to say exactly what's going on. I can mic one speaker or the other. I'll do that in a minute, and I'll show you what the difference is. But when they're combined in the room here, it just has a great sound. So here's a few sound samples, and in part of it, I will move the microphone from the 12-inch speaker to the 10-inch speaker and play the same thing more or less, so perhaps you can tell the difference between each speaker. So here we go. As I'm editing the video, I just got to jump in here and say, wow, there's a big difference in sound between the 12-inch speaker and the 10-inch speaker on the high gain settings. They both sound good, they just each have their own unique character. Which is why when I play the amp in the room here with the two speakers combined, the sound is glorious. You'll just have to take my word for that. Now we'll move on to a comparison with the clean setting, and I think you'll find that the difference is a little more subtle. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Well, that brings this video to a close. Thank you for tuning in to my channel today and exploring this guitar speaker cabinet build with me. If you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Stay tuned for more guitar related and amp related videos coming soon. Until next time, I've been James Caldwell. What would you call this thing anyway? A 2x110, 112 guitar speaker cabinet? I have no idea.